are at the Friday Night Movie Podcast booth at South by Southwest in the Wonder House, hosted by University of Arizona, with some pretty serious, amazing artists. You know, we've talked to directors, we've talked to actors, but in our show, we love talking about the people who are creating the things that you don't necessarily see, and one of the things that you literally can't see, although you can maybe feel like you see it, is the sound. And we are here with the team from IMRSV Sound, an incredible sound house from Berkeley, California, that has not one but 2 films in the festival.
That is correct.
That's amazing. And those films are My Friend Memphis and Diamond Hands. And you've also worked on films that are nominated for Oscars and are just wonderful people. We have the joy of knowing you, being that you're Becky's colleagues. And so we've got with us Jake Misrach. We've got Michelle, and your last name just jumped out of my head.
Michel Holbrook.
I was going to say Holden, and I was like, that is not right. Michel Holbrook and Isaac, we just met, so I'm not going to pretend I've known your name, but I've looked at Michelle's name over and over again on my notes, and I'm so sorry.
Olsen, last name.
Olsen.
Yeah.
Olsen, got it. Like Kate and Ashley. Olsen. Okay, got it. Okay.
Yep, they're related.
This is the IMRSV Sound team. They're incredible artists, and we want to ask them deep artistic questions about film. But that's not what they're here for, and that's not what you're here for. We actually are going to talk about Boba Fett in the Book of Boba Fett, which we haven't really had a chance to break down on the show because Becky and Lily refused to watch it. So let's just go around. First thing we're going to do is just one sentence reaction to the show. And I'm going to go too, since I haven't had my reaction. And I'll go to give you a chance to collect your thoughts. And my reaction is, it reinforces that I don't need to know everything about every character, but I also think it was fine. That's my summary, and I'll explain a little bit more later. But Michelle, what did you think?
Right. So I think is a disappointment in comparison to The Mandalorian.
That is a very hard mountain to climb, though, right? Because no one knew anything about the Mando, and it blew our minds.
Right. Yeah. So, but it feels like it should have been, the greatness of The Mandalorian should have been Boba Fett's story, because that's sort of what sparks the intrigue from the films. And, well, I'll let everyone share.
Okay, all right.
And then we can get back to it.
I like that. Okay, thank you. Michel Holbrook, host of the Friday Night Movie Podcast. Appreciate it. You're doing this is awesome. I love it. Isaac.
I'm sort of on the same level as Michelle. I'm a little embarrassed to say that I only saw the first 3 episodes of Boba Fett. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, though, and I love Mandalorian. So I don't know how
those first 3 were not easy to get through, man. Like, one by one, it was like, what? Like, what's happening here?
Yeah, like, I like what I saw so far. I think Mandalorian drew me in so much more quicker. I don't know how much I can say about the show because I only saw the first 3 episodes.
Okay. It does get better.
Okay.
All right, Jake. I've been waiting for this for like months.
Okay. I've been preparing for you for months. I would say that it was a missed opportunity, but I so appreciate the attempt to break out all of these side character stories, because the epicness and like indefeatable scope of the original Star Wars has so many branches and like outreaching fingers that we all want to know about, because the whole world is invented and everyone that makes up that world is a small piece of this incredible place that we're all still obsessed with. So Mandalorian set a very high bar. Boba, I think, could have met that bar, but it missed some of those opportunities, maybe with the casting a little bit, which is also controversial. I know this is supposed to be one sentence, but it's going to be a run-on sentence.
It's fine.
And some of that CGI stuff, bringing in, the training, didn't quite hit for me.
It was, I feel like, I'm going to say things that are negative, but there are some people who hated this, and I was down with it. I thought it was cool. It's fine.
No hate.
But it did feel often like the show was cutscenes from a video game which only really crystallized to me when we got CGI Luke Skywalker. I'm also concerned that they spent all the money on that in the last 2 episodes, which is why we got the Power Rangers on the Vespas. They were like,
oh my gosh,
we've got to do something. All right, let's just dye their hair red, and that'll be their modifications.
Yeah.
All right, Michelle, let's tease out what you were saying there a little bit more.
Right, okay. So The Mandalorian as a series gives us so much of the mythology of the Mandalorian, the culture, the intrigue, that I feel like was initially captured by the character of Boba Fett.
Ah.
And then when we get to the actual Book of Boba Fett, it's sort of a stripped down version. It's not really about the Mandalorian in general, the moral code. It's about like this one person. And I mean, he's not really relatable.
And why do you say that? Is it because we've only seen Boba Fett really at 2 phases of his life, when he's kind of this kid, and I don't know if you watched the animated series, but the child, that's one of the Clone Wars is amazing. Animated child Boba Fett is unwatchable in my opinion. That is some of the worst stuff in that show. And then you have him as the Boba Fett that we all know, and now you're already at what I described, actually the other way I would describe the show is like old man Logan Boba Fett. So you're literally not seeing the Boba Fett that we were promised, because they're showing us Boba Fett in his twilight years becoming somebody totally different, this like samurai type character. So I see what you're saying.
At that point, he really has no bark, or no bite, I guess. He's all bark.
I mean, he gets his ass kicked.
Yeah, and so like he's not really a threat. I don't really care about his mission. I feel like his deputy, whose name is escaping me right now.
Fennec Shand.
She should be the one in charge, you know?
Yeah, she really knows what's happening.
Like
I would say the 2 things that he did have going for that they should have capitalized on more is how deep his moral code is, because that's what makes him a likable character, that he doesn't take the money, he doesn't want to rule by fear, you know, he wants to rule by compassion and
So I have a question about that. In my mind, the Boba Fett that threw Han Solo in the kryptonite, carbonite. Sorry, kryptonite. Threw him in kryptonite. Yeah, see.
Mixed message.
He sent him back to Krypton.
Yeah.
Threw Han Solo in the carbonite was just cold and calculating, and maybe had like a long-standing beef with Han Solo, and so while it was interesting to see him become, like I said, Old Man Logan, I was like, oh, he's not a stone cold killer. Would it have worked if they gave us a stone cold killer?
Maybe better.
Or does he kind of have to be a good guy? Because ultimately it's Star Wars, right? Like, it doesn't work. Even when they make you follow Darth Maul in the animated story, they kind of make him sympathetic. And he's a Sith.
Yeah, and Vader had a soft spot, you know? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they should have made him tougher. And also his desert friends that all got murdered. What were they?
The Tusken Raiders. Tuskens.
Like, I thought the big payoff was going to be that through that bond he developed with them, they came and saved his ass when, you know.
Oh, that would have been awesome. I loved the Tuskens, who you've seen developed over time, right? You see them in Attack of the Clones when Anakin shows you the first sign of his willingness to kill women and children. You learn a little bit more about their culture, but they're seen as very grim in that one. And I really liked the expanding of their culture. It was a bummer to have the culture expanded, have the building of the gaffy stick, and then have everybody wiped out. Right. Because how cool would it have been to have him have Tuskens have better relations with the city people.
Yeah, for sure.
That would have been cool. All right, so we've talked about things we might change. Let's talk about the characters here. I'll play a little. The signature game of Friday Night Movie is Buy, Rent, Meh. Are you familiar with the game?
I think so.
So, I'll present 3 things. You will only be allowed, unless you're Lily who cheats all the time, so you can be the Lily, to assign 1 value to each one of them. Okay, buy, rent, or meh. Buy being the highest, rent being the middle. Meh is whatever you define. It does not have to be negative. There's a secret one called bleh.
Oh.
So if you wanted to be like the Vespa gang is a bleh, Everyone would agree. But you're not allowed to just use bleh.
That's like off menu
Freely,
ordering.
yeah, that's off menu. That's exactly right. That's like a real LA thing, you know. You're San Francisco, so or Bay Area.
You go to In-N-Out, and there's things that you can
yeah, exactly. That's the double animal style.
Right,
thing.
exactly.
Okay, so all right, we did see some new characters. I'm not going to include the Vespa gang. There is Black Kirstan, the Wookiee, who was first seen in the comics, by the way, as a bounty hunter when I had the patience to read them. Now there's too many of them, but when I had the patience to read them at first, you first see him there, but brought to life, I thought, fantastically. Cobb Vanth, who returns from The Mandalorian, that's Timothy Oliphant's gunslinging sheriff.
Right.
And then, spoiler alert, a very short appearance from Cad Bane, who was brought to life in the animated series, but then put on screen for this final duel with Boba Fett. Buy, rent, or meh, those three characters, and you can take a moment to marinate, but you also need to go with your gut. Isaac, you didn't see some of these, so I may have ruined some of this show for you just now. I'm sorry.
I know the Timothy Oliphant character, though.
Okay, so why don't you go first? Because it's also fun when people have no idea what the things are. So one is Kirstan. Black Kirstan is a badass Wookiee bounty hunter with like cool hair stuff and a huge machine gun. Yeah. And then Cad Bane, I don't know if you're familiar with Cad Bane. He's this blue alien with big red eyes and a breathing mask.
It's like Blue Voldemort.
Yeah, Blue Voldemort. Okay. Well, that's the other.
Where did he come from in the series? Like, have we seen him?
So he's a great villain in the animated series.
Yeah.
He's introduced as a great bounty hunter villain, and I think like people who were disappointed, which I don't think is necessary at all. They're lucky they got to see him on screen. Was that he just didn't last very long, but they also didn't really put into context that at this point in the story he's like 80 or 90 years old, and like they had to, and I think they're going to work him into the other shows. So everyone in Star Wars world, settle down. All right, buy, rent, or meh, bounty hunter you never heard of, Timothy Oliphant, or cool Wookiee.
Yeah, so based off the description of the bounty hunter, he sounds pretty badass, so I'm going to say buy for him.
Buy Cad Bane. All right, cool.
No, the Wookiee.
Oh, the Wookiee. Yeah. Kirstan is amazing.
Rent for Timothy Oliphant, and meh, because I don't know Cad Bane.
Okay, cool. And I think, all right, that's cool. Do a little research on Cad Bane. He's interesting. Okay. All right. Jake?
I'd go buy with the Wookiee. I thought they did a great job making an evil Chewie, is basically what they did.
It's awesome. Yeah. We haven't had another Wookiee in the thing in such a long, ever.
And even the sound design, because we are a sound design company, I thought they did an excellent job taking what used to be like the friendly dog Chewie sounds and turning him into like a roided up, like, wicked version of that. So buy him, and then I don't know, can I just buy them all? I liked all the characters. I just want to see more of them.
Oh, okay. All right. You're supposed to pick one for each, but you can be a Lily. Be a Lily. That's fine. Michelle, how about you?
I am going to have an unpopular opinion, I think.
No, go for it. I love it. Those are the best kind, as long as you explain it.
Okay. So I would buy Timothy Oliphant's character.
That's not unpopular.
I loved him. My unpopular is going to be my meh.
Okay. Timothy Oliphant is
great.
Awesome. Did he die at the end, or is he still alive in the show? Was he in the tube at the end?
Yeah, I think he's in the tube.
I think they're modifying him into some sort of cyborg or whatever. Timothy Oliphant in Star Wars, I'm on board forever.
Yeah, he's great. It's a throwback to the whole Western thing, which is a great theme throughout Star Wars. So he's my buy. Cad Bane is going to be my rent. I think he's an awesome villain. I think the voice actor is fantastic.
Who is the voice actor?
I wish I knew his name.
Okay, I'm going to look it up while we do this.
But it's fantastic.
It was an interesting choice because Cad Bane in the animated series has like a heavy accent.
You know what else sorry to interrupt, it reminds me of No Country for Old Men, that villain.
Yeah.
It's like with the air gun or whatever it is. He's got this super slow, I'm just going to roll up very casually and then kill everybody.
Yeah. All right, that's cool. I love that. That's a great case for Cad Bane. That's awesome.
So my meh is the Wookiee.
And why so? That is controversial.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he just doesn't hold up to the other two.
It's just not as interesting.
But it was cool to see another Wookiee.
So the voice actor for Cad Bane is a gentleman named Corey Burton, who looks like, as far as I can tell by his credits, is like a prolific voice actor, which I love when they bring in the prolific voice actors. It doesn't always have to be like we got Vin Diesel.
Right.
I respect it. Fine. You want to have him say "I am Groot"? That's great. But like,
Yeah.
there's
Didn't
like
have to be Jeremy Irons.
right. Like there's like people who voice act, like who can say "I
Right.
am Groot." Why? Like so. So that's an awesome choice. Okay, now you are sound designers. I would love to know which sound. Okay, we won't play a game with this because there's too many. But which sound moment or sound did you just? Jake just explained the Wookiee, which is totally wild. But was there sound in it that really spoke to you? That moments where you're like, that's that old Skywalker sound, innovation or situating you places moment.
That's a tough question. I wish I would have thought about that ahead of time.
Okay. That's fine. But if one didn't stand out to you, like that also says something.
Yeah, I mean the score really stands out for me.
Did you like it?
I love it. Yeah.
Ooh, we're gonna have different opinions on that.
Okay, all right. Well, let's
Yeah.
score. Look, for our audience, sound design and score, like they're not that different, right? I know they are to you guys, but that's fine. Let's go into score. What'd you think of the score?
I think it sort of has like a haunting motif to it, which I really enjoy. I think, especially throwbacks to the Mandalorian.
Oh yeah, the Sergio Leone's guy. Who's the guy who did the music for Good, the Bad, and the Ugly? And
Yeah, are you Googling it?
yeah, we should all know the name, but it's escaped us.
Ennio Morricone.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh.
Yeah. God bless you, Isaac. Thank you. All right, Isaac, what do you think about the score?
I don't remember too much of the score for those first 3 episodes, but as far as the sound goes, I know I liked the specific characteristics of his armor when he's being attacked. Shot at.
Oh yeah. Like the deflections and
Yeah,
things
just
like
how
that.
nobody can penetrate his armor, and that's what scares people too. Like when people see him wear that armor, they're not gonna mess with him.
That's very cool. All right, Jake, score because you gave us sound already.
All right, so score, Mandalorian. They brought in, I'll probably mispronounce his name, Ludwig Göransson.
Okay.
And he's amazing. And the themes that he wrote for Mando and for Grogu, fantastic. He brought in bass recorder as his primary instrument to play some of these themes, which I've never heard in any score ever. And I thought it was just nailed.
Is this like a giant version of the recorder my kids take home from school?
It's like the equivalent of a baritone sax, but for recorders. It's huge. It's probably 3 feet tall.
That's everything about that is
Yeah.
amazing. That could be in Star Wars. That could be like the band. I want to see.
Yeah, like the band in the cafe when they're all hanging out. I
Droopy
immediately
McCool probably has one in.
Yeah, I immediately bought a bass recorder off of eBay or something as soon as that score came out because it was so good. But they outsourced the score for the second season for Boba. It's not the same composer. So they brought in Ludwig to write some of the themes, but I think that part of what made the Boba series not hit so hard is that they didn't have the same caliber of fulfilling out the score as on the first season, and the score was a lot of the energy.
There was a little bit of a feeling like Mando was the pilot, and now they're going to sort of do some facsimiles kind of feel, which I just don't think ever should be allowed with Star Wars. Like, I know there's budget things and all of that, but like, you can't mess around with that kind of thing. Do they have budget constraints at Disney? Is that even a thing?
Shouldn't. Well, I mean, maybe we've had some experiences in that, but that's our NDA. I can't talk about it. So, what I will say is, like, if you bring in John Williams to write the score for the first 3 Star Wars, and then you bring in someone else, the film is not going to feel the same.
Yeah.
I think Ludwig did a great job with the rebuilding of these new stories, books, but yeah, I think we lost it in the score a little bit for Boba.
Oh, okay, interesting. All right.
So it's
Michelle, a
like-
counterpoint?
Well, no, I mean, I think my favorite parts are the echoes back to the Mandalorian score.
Ah, okay.
But at some point, it must be overwhelming to now have all these different offshoots for John, who's the director's name?
Oh, Favreau.
Jon Favreau. So is he able to give that same level of attention to Boba Fett?
I mean,
Yes.
So I am a believer in Favreau. All right, I think Favreau is such an interesting filmmaker because I don't think all of his things are hits. Right, like Iron Man 2, which isn't really his fault, is like a total disaster. But from the ashes of Iron Man 2 comes a lot of the stuff that becomes the Avengers. And so I do think like part of the Marvel model, which is playing out in the Star Wars thing, is a little bit that they'll drop a Thor 2 The Dark World on you, and you'll be like, or an Iron Man 2. But then there'll be a few things in that they're like, oh, okay, so we had a test balloon up. People really like Kirstan. All right, we're going to see more of him now. And then suddenly, so I'm hoping that like what Favreau does, like Favreau might adapt well. It's odd though. Maybe they rushed Boba Fett. I don't know. Like maybe they were like, "Oh shit, everyone loves us. We got to do a Boba Fett movie, show," and he wasn't able to pay attention.
Yeah.
I know some people online because Robert Rodriguez was the director of the pilot, I believe,
The first episode,
of the
right?
first
Yeah.
episode, and Robert Rodriguez is like, for me, iconic action director of the '90s. I mean, you think of Desperado and El Mariachi, like these are. Even the first 3 Spy Kids movies, like this is just a guy who I think is, and he is a massive Star Wars fan. Huge Star Wars fans. Lucas, he used a lot of, I believe, the digital technology and stuff that Lucas was experimenting with the prequels. Rodriguez would then use in like the Spy Kids movies. So like but a lot of people that I was watching online were just going after him, and I didn't know he made it, but I did feel like the action, like it didn't pop the way you'd expect Rodriguez's action to pop, and so I wonder. I don't know. Maybe they didn't have the chemistry, Favreau and I don't know.
I bet they forced restraint on it, because part of the thing that was great about Mando was the restraint and the pacing. It was so much about slow character development. These books are not, I think, built to be action. They're built to be these like portrait pieces, right? Of like internal strife and personal struggles and overcoming your baggage and your trauma. And so I think what was cool about Mando was that it was not action based. They feather it in, and then you bring in the supervillains towards the end. But maybe he had his hands pinned a little bit. He couldn't bring the big action.
It seems like they almost were aware that it wasn't hitting the same way, because it's so strange to me to have the first 4 episodes.
Totally.
And
Yeah,
then
perfect lead in. Take us to it.
Yeah.
Is just, Boba Fett's not even in it at all. Is
Right.
No, they have him at the beginning. He goes to like lunch with like the mayor of the town,
Right.
and then boom, 2 episodes of The Mandalorian in the middle of the Book of Boba Fett.
I feel like the focus groups were saying like Mando is better. Go back to
Right.
that.
Yeah, they're like, wait, where's Baby Yoda? What the hell?
Yeah, where's Grogu? One of the sound designers at our company bought a Grogu Chia pet. Like that was a really big gift for last holiday, and that's what people want to see.
Yeah, I had this really intellectually stimulating exchange with a fellow on Twitter. His name escapes me right now, but I went after, I think, one of the big, spoiler alert again, one of the big moments, character moments in the most significant thing that happens in the Book of Boba Fett is Luke Skywalker giving Grogu the choice between being a Jedi and not being a Jedi, because his heart's not in it. And because I'd spent, and this is a classic Star Wars fan mistake, I'd spent like a year being like, oh my God, Grogu's gonna be a secret hidden Jedi, and then he and Rey are gonna team up in the future, and that's what our next movies are gonna be. It's gonna be the 2 of them, and then we're gonna see like an old badass Grogu. Like I had built this whole thing, and then he's like there for like a couple of weeks, and Luke's like, heart's not in it. And then Luke giving him this rather binary choice, and then this fellow on Twitter came back at me in a really intellectually sound way and said, this is Luke learning how to be a Jedi Master. That's number 1. Number 2, on a gut level, if Luke knew he didn't want to be a Jedi, the disaster of trying to force someone to be a Jedi could be catastrophic. And so he was understanding that. But then you're also seeing the lead up to The Last Jedi, which I have tremendous issues with, but what I will allow for is if they fill in story between here and there and earn whatever happened in The Last Jedi a lot more, then I'll buy it. But I don't want to see Luke finally being a Jedi Master and just sucking out of the gate. And so that's what I had a hard time with. But this other explanation about Luke just trying to find his way and do the right thing by Grogu. But then I also felt like it kind of negated that final scene. That scene of end of season 2 is like the coolest thing I've seen in Star Wars since I was a kid. Luke comes in, blah, 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 takes Grogu away from the Mando. The Mando takes off his helmet to let him go. And then, like, I guess maybe the focus groups are like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I hope they don't keep investing time and money into Luke. Like, I don't want a whole series of CGI. It just doesn't play as much.
I don't want to CGI Luke. I think back the truck of money up to Sebastian Stan's house. That guy is unbelievable. Everything he's in, he's a tremendous actor. Mark Hamill has endorsed it. Let's do here's my pitch, okay? An old man, young man, kind of one of those, sometimes they tell the story. There's like the old guy telling the story and the young man telling the story. Let's put Luke on the planet where he's meditating, where he's been shut off from the Force. Let's give us a view into that time. Let's, Rian Johnson dropped this turd on us. Let's turn it into lemonade and have him be out there as old Luke so you can have Hamill, who I think is acting better than he ever has. And then let's just put Sebastian Stan in the outfit and have him train Jedis and meet Mara Jade and fall in love and, maybe build us towards Kylo Ren killing Mara Jade, which would make him much more similar to his father and why he would cut himself off from the Force. I'm not going to go to the dark side, but I'm going to just cut myself off from the Force. Like, that I could do, but I do agree. CGI Luke, why do it? They're actually, unlike Harrison Ford, you have an actor that is sitting right there on contract in the Disney world.
And also, this is going to be extra controversial, but in the millions of Batman films that have ever been made, they just keep changing the primary actor, and they get to keep telling a story. Just find some other great young Luke. I mean, they even did it in, episodes 4, 5, and 6, or when they brought in, what's-his-face, that did a terrible job.
Christian...
Hayden Christensen?
Hayden Christensen.
No.
Wait, that's...
Was it
The Darth Vader?
young Anakin?
Yeah, young Anakin. Christian... I think he's a good actor, and I think he was fed terrible lines.
Okay, fair enough.
I think, and he's going to reprise Darth Vader in the Obi-Wan show.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what everybody's saying. So we're going to see that,
Right.
which I'm very excited for.
But just bring in a new Luke. Just, who cares, Just...
I mean, it has to be the right one with the right story. Did you see Solo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Alden Ehrenreich or whatever his name was bad. I don't like, but the movie was, just a lot of, again, I love the Alien movies. I think Alien itself is a perfect movie. And I loved Prometheus I know it's also controversial, but ultimately I do walk away with the lesson of maybe it's better we just don't know certain things. We just don't need to know certain prequel things. All right, what'd you think about the choice? Grogu's choice, and just inserting that into the story. Michelle, I'm asking Michelle for those listening.
I mean, I think it was very sweet. That's what you hope for with the relationship between Mando and Grogu. But I have to say, like you said, leading up to that, Luke's training, he's terrible. Why is he such a dick? You know what I mean?
I guess Yoda was a real dick to him too. And so if you look at all of like Yoda and Obi-Wan, they're constantly messing with him. I'm going to shoot lasers with you with a blindfold and
that's
talking riddles and tell. But the other thing that also weirds me out about it is that Luke, and this is a just flaw in the whole way they've evolved the Jedis. Luke saved Darth Vader with his familial connections, the love of his friends, the love of his father, the belief in his father. This idea that Luke is suddenly, now telling someone no personal connections.
Yeah.
Just, it's never fully computed to me that would be his conclusion after everything he did. Because he defied Yoda, Obi-Wan, and did well. So, anyways, I'm not 100% sure. Okay, let's take it to the grand finale scene. All right. The riding of the Rancor.
Oh, gosh.
Boba Fett, first of all, he gets to hang out with Danny Trejo, a regular of a Rodriguez film, and he befriends the Rancor. And you knew it was coming, right? You knew something was coming with that Rancor, right? Becky always says, it refers to, show me a gun in the first act and it better be in the third act. Show me a Rancor training scene in the first half of Boba Fett. Someone better be riding that thing at the end. Impressions, Jake?
I loved it. I mean, it's the age-old battle of the machines versus natural predators.
The kaiju versus Titan kind of thing.
Yeah, the battles of, I don't know. Yeah, so I really enjoyed that part.
That's awesome. Isaac?
I didn't see that.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, what do you think of Boba Fett riding a Rancor? Are you on board with that?
Yeah, I'm down with that.
It's ridiculous.
Oh my god.
I am more with Michelle on this one. It is absurdly cool, right, on one level, but it's also like that moment in Avengers Endgame that I know it landed with other people, but when Captain America holds the damn hammer and like they just want to show you that shot of Captain, someone like drew an awesome fan picture and they're like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we saw Boba Fett, right? But they did they earned it in terms of the story. I thought the what's it called, the King Kong, it was so King Kong.
That's true.
That part just, I know they couldn't make Rancors like that in the olden days, but it was very King Kong, and that was a little odd. Also, were the battle droids that strong in the war? That these battle droids were like unstoppable battle droids.
That's true.
But just from a physics standpoint,
I love it.
I love the Rancor, and it's so cool, but there's just no way Boba Fett will be able to stay on him.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Do you ride? Are you a rider of animals? Is that? Oh, okay. I thought maybe you're going to be like, yeah. I mean, I've ridden many rhinos and bipedal animals.
I would buy that the Rancor was trained, but I don't think we need to see Boba Fett on him to believe that. It just seemed ridiculous to me. I was like, you would never be able to stay on him.
Okay. All right. I like that.
But it would have been so underwhelming if he didn't. Like, how else could you have the hero like leaping over buildings? I mean, I guess they could have just, unleashed the Rancor on his own.
Like the Hulk.
Yeah.
Like a Hulk smash situation.
Yeah.
Just have him come in and tear everything apart. All right. Okay. All right. So the Book of Boba Fett. This has been an amazing, long overdue conversation with the team from Immersive Sound, Michel Holbrook, Isaac Olson, and Jake Misrach. Before we head on out, one of the great traditions on Friday Night Movies is to hear your recommendations and your shout-outs. And this can be to anything that you're watching, interested in. Of course, people should see Diamond Hands and My Friend Memphis, which I have not seen those, but I have talked to people who have seen My Friend Memphis, and they loved it. They thought it was fantastic. And I bragged about knowing you all afterwards. And then Diamond Hands looks wild. Like very...
You got to see Diamond Hands. I've never seen a doc quite like it. It's very fun.
That's awesome. So what are your shout-outs and recs?
Right now, we're watching Severance.
Oh, we started that. Allie's like not super into it, so I can only get her to watch one episode like every few days, but she's not released it for me to be able to finish it on my own. So just sort of like waiting for more to happen. That's wild, though, right?
It's so interesting. I haven't seen anything like it. It's slow for sure, but it's got me. I'm hooked.
The production design is so wild.
It is.
They did an amazing job there. Isaac, how about you?
2 shows. One's on Sci-Fi. It's called Resident Alien. I don't know if you've seen it.
Resident Alien, I talk about this regularly. I think it is the most beautiful study of humanity on television right now, period.
Oh, yeah, and it is also, like, hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
That actor is hilarious at his role.
Alan Tudyk, he was born to play that role.
Yeah. So season 1 was last year. Season 2 started, a couple weeks ago?
Season 2's been amazing.
Ago, yeah. The other show which blew up a lot this year, which I never saw until this year. I didn't even see season 1 until this year, but Euphoria. Like, if you're a fan of cinematography and directing, acting, and lighting.
People have talked a lot about Euphoria here in particular, and I'm like, there's something I feel I'm nervous about watching it. Is that a fair thing? It seems like it causes people a lot of anxiety.
It'll hit different people different ways because there's so many different topics and subjects it covers. But in the scope of things, like great acting, great storytelling, and I think a lot of the episodes were shot on like film, which is
that's
dope.
wild.
Yeah, and like you can tell by the look of it and everything. Sound design's great, editing's great, color's great.
That's awesome. Yeah. And Zendaya's just set your watch for when she's going to win her Oscar. She's fantastic. At some point, it's going to happen.
Zendaya's awesome.
That's very cool. All right, Jake.
For me, the show that is just. It's like one of those shows that comes along and feels like it changes your life a little bit.
Oh, I love that.
Is Raised by Wolves. And
oh, wow. Okay. Tell me more. First of all, did it get canceled or does it still exist?
The newest season just started.
Okay, because Raised by Wolves was one. where like I am not getting into that if I don't know it's going to have an ending, because like I can't start something that looks that complex and then like never know who raised the wolves. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the question is of the show.
Yeah, no wolves involved, but it's, I would say, probably like my top 3 favorite TV shows of all time.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
really amazing.
So here's a Raised by Wolves question. It's Ridley Scott, right?
Yep.
Is it in the same universe as Alien, or is it just sort of Alien adjacent?
I've never seen anything like it. It's much more about... It's more in the world of Terminator. It's more like the future of AI and how that will both save and destroy humanity. And it's fantastic. And the score, as a composer, I'm a sucker for a good score. Ben Frost was one of the 2 composers on it, and it's one of the best scores. And he also did the score for Dark, which is an excellent show on Netflix.
Oh, very cool.
And he's really brought something special to TV and film scoring in the last 5 or 10 years.
That's really, really cool. All right. So here's my recommendation for you all.
Ooh, good.
So we saw a film here called I Get Knocked Down. It is the story of Chumbawamba, the band,
Wow.
Yeah.
as told by Dunstan Bruce, the core member, the singer, the guy who sang I Get Knocked Down, right? The guy who sang Toe Thumping. And it's told in a way I haven't seen a doc told, because there's a lot of acting in it, because a lot of the film is him talking to alter egos of himself, processing having been this, because I don't know if you know that they were like this anarchist, insane, like commune living, socialist, anti-government, like like we know the pop song, and then they became super famous, and so it's just about him trying to kind of find his way, but it's shot beautifully. The music is really fun to dig into. Nobody, I mean, unless you're a weirdo like me who went to see them in the 90s and then you were like, holy moly, this band is not the band I thought they were. It's really cool. It's really cool. I think both as folks who make docs and as people who like love music, but also it's really cool. And he was at the screening when we saw it, and I got to tell him about the time I saw his show in Montreal, and I was like, it wasn't what I expected, and it was very cool. So,
is it streaming online, or is it going to be out?
Well, it's here at the festival now, and then I assume at some point someone's going to get it, because it's been out. It didn't premiere here, actually. It had a screening here, but I think it's been around. So I think it'll be a matter of time, because it's a very cool. It's really. Ali kept looking at me, being like, "Is this a documentary?" I can't really tell, because he's acting, but he's also telling this. It was very neat. All right. Immersive Sound, or individuals, how would you all like to be followed? Do you want to be followed on Instagram or Twitter? Or I know Immersive Sound has a social media, right? IMRSV, at IMRSV. But anywhere else, Jake? Jake.
You can call me whatever you want, Shai. Yeah, we're around on social media. Not super duper active, but we got websites and we got social accounts.
Okay, cool. But you don't have like a personal one you want people to...
I mean, I do. I post some of my scoring stuff on, I think my handle's XOJ, but Jake Bloomfield-Misrach is my full name, so you can find me there.
Isaac?
Yeah, I got an Instagram. Not too active on it, but it's Isaac870, I think. Yeah.
Isaac87. Those are really mysterious handles.
I am not a big social media person. So
Good for you.
Michelle's like, just follow Immersive Sound. Well, thank you all for being here. For our listeners, you can follow us, of course, at Friday Night, or at FridayNightMovie.com or FridayNightMoviePod.com. Huge thank you to the University of Arizona for hosting us here at the Wonder House at South by Southwest. Our theme music is by What Does It Eat? And a huge thank you to our guests, Jake Misrach, Isaac Olson, Michel Holbrook from Immersive Sound. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Shai.
thank you.
Thank you.